That's a good one there. Boy, is that fun. That's what we're talking about. Smallmouth bass on a hair jig. What do you know, Ron? No, you're talking.
That's a dandy.
Wow.
That's what we have up here to offer.
Over the past 10 years, there's been a lot of interest surrounding Great Lakes smallmouth bass fishing. In these ultra-clear environments, finesse baits and stealth techniques with spinning rods and light line are mandatory. Well, this should be a really interesting day today. I'm fishing with Ron Dohm from Sportfish Michigan, and what we're gonna do is look at fishing for big brown bass with small baits, and we happen to be up on Grand Traverse Bay, and this is some of the clearest water I've ever fished. We were out yesterday sight fishing in 25 to 30 foot of water for lake trout and ciscos. Today we got a little bit of a different mission. Ron's going to show me some big whopper bass of Grand Traverse Bay. It should be an interesting
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You know, we've got really clear conditions, 30, 40 feet visibility, even 50, 60 at times of the year too.
Yeah.
And we're going to be up, 10 feet and shallower, pretty much 8 to 6 feet deep, targeting isolating structure and, pre-spawn fish. And it's setting up to be a really good day. We've got high suns, low winds, and this clear water gives us a lot of fun opportunities.
It really is. It'll be sort of an interesting activity. I do know that. I love fishing for these big smallmouths in shallow water like this. It should be really, really cool. Yeah.
Let's go do it.
That's a good one there. Boy, is that fun. Wow. Boy, you can see that the water temperature right now is actually really just started warming up. This is the first time, Ron, that these fish have got up on these flats, and you can see by the way the fish are acting, the water temperature, they're really sort of still docile. They're not going crazy. These fish have just gotten in here and they're actually trying to warm up. They just came out of like 39-degree water. They came out of their deep wintering areas, and now they're coming up to first to fatten up before they spawn in the next couple of weeks. Oh, there you go. Can you get that one, Ron? Oh, there you go, sir. I thank you. Look at that little tank. Look at that thing. What a beautiful bass. Look at that
dandy.
thing. That's what we're talking about. Boy, you're talking about exciting
Awesome
fishing,
fish.
man. You're talking about bass fishing. It's all through the Great Lakes. This is one of the biggest, intriguing or really interest. You've seen it grow so much in Great Lakes brown bass fishing, because it's some of the finest bass fishing in North America. You're talking numbers of really big ones. They're sort of hard to find in some, they're real big waters, and these fish come from a long distance away.
And what's awesome about up here is that's about our average. That's not, that's a good one, but it's not, as big as they get up here.
Well, by the end of the day, hopefully we'll get one. Boy,
let's go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll get back out in the water.
Got one. I've been out chunking on this flat, and it's the weirdest thing because we're actually seeing a lot of fishing. Right now these fish are pretty inactive, pretty early in the day still, and the fish were sort of really tentative. Oh, it's not a bad one. Come here, buddy.
Awesome.
There you go.
Nice work.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Boy, he's a pretty one. Look at the color of him. A smallmouth bass on a hair jig. What do you know, Ron?
It's a little secret up here. Word's going to get out, and it's a good way to get on these shallow, finicky pre-spawn fish.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, guys fish the hair jig just around the pre-spawn and, that colder, shallower water, but you can fish this thing throughout the entire year as long as you have fish shallow. And, I think guys limit themselves when they fish it, just for a couple of weeks from the pre-spawn while those bass are shallow, that 5 foot or less, but when they get out deeper, open up your options, and trying a hair jig can really pay off big.
Throughout the Great Lakes, early season smallie fishing is generally associated to large, shallow rock, rubble, and sand flats. The best areas tend to be in depths from 4 to about 15 feet of water. Smaller, wind-protected bays tend to concentrate brown bass in early spring with water temperature in the 40s. As water temperature rises into the 50s, main lake flats will also see schools of fish. Wind is a big deal here. It can dramatically affect water temperature and fish movement. In general, wind blowing into bays and flats brings fish in, while offshore winds will suck in cold water and blow fish out. It's absolutely amazing on how fast these schools of fish can move.
So out here today, we're sight fishing, and we're sight fishing fish to a point, but a lot of times we're sight fishing just shallow structure. And we'll do this from ice out in late April through early May, all the way through late summer and back again in the fall. You know, sight fishing, people always think of it as bed fishing or, you know, actually seeing the fish. And a lot of times it's simply seeing a log or a big boulder like we have up here and making a pinpoint cast to it and working that structure to oftentimes pull a fish out of it.
You know, we're in Grand Traverse Bay right now, and it has incredible visibility. And a lot of the waters we fish, you don't have that good of visibility. And what I'll do is spend a lot of time driving around with side imagery on these flats to really isolate the biggest boulders. As Ron and I have been talking about, the fish that move up onto these flats, they really have the tendency to really gravitate to the largest rocks on there. But the thing is, with this side imagery of this mega imaging on my depth finder, what it does is it gives you such a really defined picture. Like that one right there, that's a winner. You want to put a waypoint right on that big boulder right there. Here you got some more big ones out here on both sides of the boat. But what I'll do is I'll spend, you know, an hour just driving around out on these big flats, just really keying in to find the best spots on these structures. Great big boulders, that's the key spots where the fish are gonna move in. When they move up onto this flat, that's exactly where that fish is gonna be sitting at. Because you get in these Great Lakes environments, a lot of these flats are monstrous, you know what I mean? You get on flats that are, you know, a half a mile long. The key flats, they're sitting right on the biggest boulders. And now you can go turn around and I'll go to my map and you can see, look backward here. And I've actually dropped all these coordinates. When I work back through here, I'll just cast right to those coordinates. The interesting thing is, as Ron was talking about, is a lot of times when you're sight fishing, what we're doing is not only casting the boulders, but color changes, and that could be a bottom compositional change. Sometimes it could be a little grass edges, and the grass edges are only this tall. And you're just casting to any different type of distinct edge that you see that the fish could potentially hold on. And the other thing, a lot of times you get up on these flats and you just have like subtle depressions up on these flats, and you're casting into these depressions. You know, they sort of like turquoise, and then the lighter spots are sort of sandy colored. Then you get like a deeper depression, looks sort of turquoise, and we're pitching right into those locations. But in some conditions, when you get out in, you know, like 8 to 15 foot of water, a little bit deeper conditions, sometimes what a lot of guys will do is simply drag a hair jig, and they'll make a long cast, actually let out some line and do like controlled drifts over big expansive flats. Very similar in the way that a lot of guys in the Great Lakes drag a tube on the bottom. A lot of times they do that. It's can be a really effective presentation. It's one thing I can say about hair jigging, it's probably the most subtle out of any type of bass presentation to fish. Hair jigs are not the only baits to cast for these early pre-spawn smallies. Finesse swim baits and grubs are also good options. Depending on the target depth, we start with a VMC half moon and Finesse half moon jig in weights from 1/16 to 1/8 ounce. Some people may think these heads are way too light. In early season, cool water conditions, it's critical to fish slow-moving baits. Soft baits of choice: 3.5 big bite suicide shad, cane thumper, or a grub. As far as plastic color goes, we tend to pick natural colors that match the watercolor. Another bait we cast a lot is small tubes. Big bites 2.5-inch tube, again interior weighted with a 1/16 and 1/8 ounce Finesse half moon jig. This lightweight head minimizes getting hung up on the zebra mussel encrusted rocks. A lot of times with the tube, the best retrieve is to simply drag the bait on the bottom. Got him? There you go.
Running cast right back there too, James. There's a whole pile of them.
We want this guy aboard.
Yeah, we do.
It's just amazing that, you know, you get up on these flats and you come up in the morning and there's no fish there, and you come back in the afternoon, And then you got a
Great
bunch
net.
of our buddies on there.
Sweet.
That's a nice,
Good work.
nice fish. There you go. Beautiful
dandy
fish.
one.
Look at that. Boy, is that a beautiful blondie.
Nice healthy one.
Yeah.
It's
Gorgeous.
awesome. She choked that hair jig too. No hesitation.
There's one. Big one. Oh, there's a good one. Oh. Now you're talking.
There you go.
Yeah.
I want to stay in for a second, see if he doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, see if
And I'll
he's
help
got
you
any
clean 'em up.
buddies. The right rod, reel, and line is critical for making real long-distance casts for spooky bass. In this drone imagery, you can see a very large bass tracking a hair jig for a second or two before denying my offering. When you're sight fishing like this, you want to cast way in front of the fish and let the fish intercept a slow, easy meal. St. Croix designed this 8.6 hair jig and big water drop shot rod for this exact application. With 6 to 8 pound test Suffix 832 braid, you can cast in excess of 80 feet or more with a very light bait. The other part of the equation is hook setting and fighting fish. This long, medium power, fast action rod is perfectly balanced for long distance hook sets and is great for handling big brownies with light line. Oh boy, he's a real brick. Look at that thing. Now you're talking. Boy, what a beautiful fish. No question about it. But as I was saying, your rod and reel is really critical to really finesse present, to cast a really lightweight bait like that. Beautiful fish. We'll get her back in the water. Boy, is she a tank. What a beautiful fish. Look at that thing. Is she a fatso? Look at that. So I got this rigged with a Daiwa LT. This is a ballistic 2500 reel with 832 braid. And some of you would say, well, look, why is your braid bright yellow? Well, the thing is I actually have a pretty long length of 10-pound fluorocarbon leader, anywhere between 7 to as long as, in some cases, Ron likes to fish, his length is almost 15 foot of fluorocarbon or lighter monofilament leader. But the thing is, what I like about this really bright colored line is to be able to distinguish a strike. It's a real soft striking a lot of times because the bait isn't moving very quickly and they just overtake it from the back and all of a sudden it just stops. Today we're fishing on Grand Traverse Bay of Lake Michigan. Here's a few more brown bass hotspots around the Great Lakes. Lake Superior, Chequamegon Bay. Lake Michigan, Sturgeon Bay, and the whole Door County Peninsula. This includes Washington Island. There's also a lot of bass in Big Bay and Little Bay de Noc to the north. Lake Huron, go to Saginaw Bay. Lake Erie, both the eastern and western basins have tremendous smallmouth bass fisheries. On Lake Ontario, Henderson Harbor and Chamont Bay are just a few of the many areas to hunt whopper brownies. One thing that's really vitally important is actually, when you get up on shallow flats, is actually how you're fishing in relation to the sun. What we want to do is maximize our visibility, and that means putting the sun to our back. Like right now, the way we're fishing from sort of like from the inside out, just because it gives us the better ability. And it's amazing because you look this way, I can't see that well because I'm seeing the reflection this way. There I can see 40, 50, well, even farther than that, probably 70 feet away from the boat, just because of our sun direction.
So, I have the theory, a lot of other guys do as well, that if you fish the bait higher in the column, I like to keep it at least halfway down, but sometimes I'll fish it even a third of the way down. So if I'm in 9 foot of water, 8 foot of water, I'll fish it down 3 or 4 feet max, and those fish can silhouette that black really well, and they'll come up and grab it. Where, if you're down below them, it blends in, with the surroundings really well, and you may go unnoticed by a lot of fish.
Right here, we're in 8, 9 foot of water. What I'm gonna do is make a really long cast. I'm in 8, 9 foot. I'm gonna count the bait down to about 7, and then start reeling, and then putting just little twitches into the rod tip, and to get the marabou to actually pulsate. And what you're trying to do is move the bait at a really slow speed. A lot of times, especially when it's really early like this, these fish are not that active, and it seems like that's really subtle presentation is really key. And it's amazing that you can fish so many other presentations and you will just smoke them with this and other baits, tubes, classic swim baits, grubs and stuff. You will not catch that many fish, but this technique can catch a lot of really big bass. It's really quite interesting.
Yeah, so something else that's really, been a huge help for us, fishing these lightweight hair jigs up here, not only for ourselves, but with clients, has been the use of the all-track spot lock feature. James has it on this boat, and it's been, a game changer today, whether it's having to retie, having to net a fish. We can stop, hold our location, get stuff rearranged, and get ready. And, we drift over a lot less fish that way just because we're being more efficient. And on my rig, I run the all-tracks as well, along with the Humminbird systems. And being able to hold on that spot and allow clients to really thoroughly work an area results in not only bigger fish, but a lot more fish and a lot better time for the clients.
The thing is one thing that I've always noticed too, when these fish are first coming in and they're moving, they're really, really hard to catch. And once they get up on the flats and they sort of stabilize for a little bit, they could become a lot easier to catch.
The first day they move up isn't always the best. Give them 2 or 3 days to adapt, get used to it, and then you can go up and have some fun with them.
Got him? There you
go.
go. Ooh,
Nice
big
one, too.
Great big one. Yeah, there you go. Oh,
There's a lot more out there.
That's
a
a
dandy.
horse there, Bubba.
Really good one.
Bubba. Whoa. No, I'm really impressed with it. I've actually had the chance to fish all over the Great Lakes, and I even fished in the Grand Traverse Bay. And the smallmouth bass fishing, in the Great Lakes, it's really an amazing deal. It really is. That's why you see so many guys actually from the south come up and fish up here, is because of this exact reason. Wow, that's a big one there, man.
Yeah, she is.
You got a biggie on there.
Want to bring her right to you?
No, easy. Yeah, come here. Oh. Whoa.
I'll bring it right up on this pole.
I'm a tournament guy.
Look at that one.
No, you're talking.
That's a dandy.
Wow.
That's what we have up here to offer,
Wow.
Really big fish. This fish is probably 15, 20 plus years old.
Yeah.
You see it's all beat up and worn, but a really big, healthy specimen of what we really have up here.
Yeah. It's really, boy, what a beautiful animal.
They don't
it really
think twice
is.
about the hair. As soon as they come up,
Yeah.
it's a great way to get these finicky fish.
Yeah.
It's really subtle. It's not going to scare them, and it's hard to beat.
It really is. I know one thing. I'm sold on it. I really am.
Sweet.
Yeah. Nice job. Ron, I got to thank you. I've been over here for the last couple of days shooting with the Sportfish Michigan guys, and it's just absolutely been stellar. I started out with Chad, and we got on the real hot lake trout and Cisco bite, and then we cap it off with giant brownies. So I got to show you. We got to show you a couple of these guys that we caught today. Over the next couple of weeks, my buddy here, Ron, is going to be fishing for these boys, and look at the size of these things. It is fun fishing. You're talking about brown bass fishing. You got to come and do this because it is a really fabulous bite. I think you definitely appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
Look at the size of those things, just beautiful.
Awesome fish.
This fish here, this has got to be, how big is this
Both
guy?
these together are probably 12.
But yeah, we better get these guys back in
yeah.
the water, shoot some stills
All
of
right.
them, and we're going to let them go.